We're in Star Dressing Room number 1 here with the gorgeous Beverley Knight. How are you?
I'm fine. Are you all right?
I'm really well, thank you, and all the better for talking to you because you've got one of those voices that just makes me happy.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
It's also one of those voices that I can't imagine you could be trained because it's almost gospelly, and I mean that in the best way. Presumably you can't be trained how to sing the way you do.
No, and it is a gospel voice because that's how I was raised, and the way you sing is just purely about expression. It's not about anything more than just being real. Do you know what I mean? When you sing, the obvious things, you know, you're breathing and make sure your posture's correct and all the rest of that kind of stuff. But just I guess the actual way I sing is just what comes natural to me.
The other thing I love about your voice is that kind of growliness and the bassness. Do you have to smoke 50 cigarettes a day to make that happen?
No. As I got older, that kind of developed all by itself. The more you do something, the better you get at it, as you know. And the older I got, the more I sang, the more experience my voice built up. So it got higher at the top end, but it definitely got a lot more kind of resonant at the bottom end, which I like.
Now, the question everybody wants to know is, how do you get a big voice from a small body? Because you're so petite and gorgeous and little.
I don't know. I do have a lot of stamina, and I've built up a lot of lung capacity over years, and you know, work out and everything. So I guess that explains how I can hold a note, but I don't think it explains necessarily the power. I think I just inherited that off Mum and Dad. My dad's got a really powerful voice.
The other thing I get from you is that you just love it. Whenever I see you perform, whether it be on the TV or live, you just seem to have a passion for it, and presumably that's the most important thing. Oh,
God, yeah, absolutely. I really love what I do. I love singing. I love performing, you know. I think you can tell when folk are on a stage and they're going through the motions and they're just there, and I think you can always differentiate between those who absolutely want to be there and those who are there to get paid or whatever, you know.
What's it like on tour? Is it a bit of a lonely existence sometimes?
Sometimes you're glad to be by yourself. I won't even lie. I'm usually with everybody. I don't tend to have my own dressing room that is entirely, you know, just for me. I don't like that. That doesn't feel like you're about to do a show. You know, you feel very separate and cut off. So as a rule, it's always me and the background vocalist, and we're all in the same dressing room. And then, you know, the band are in another dressing room. And at least then you're properly preparing for a shared experience. But by the end of the night, and you're absolutely knacked, and everybody's, you know, shook your hand and everything like that, sometimes you're like, I just want to be by myself in bed.
And the travelling presumably isn't very glamorous either.
Sometimes. It depends where you go. I mean, if you're going to, say, like, you know, London to Wolverhampton, which I'll be doing at some point on the tour, you know, the M1, M6 is boring. But if you're going somewhere else, you know, you can go picturesque routes. Like, it's a nice little route from, say, Wolverhampton to Nottingham. It's a lovely little route. So, and
I suppose in a way this is what you dream of. Performing live is really why you're in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds weird, but it's secondary is the studio work and the creating of the songs. For me, the primary thing is being on that stage and actually doing it. So, you know, I kind of, when I'm writing the songs, I can't wait to get to the being on stage and performing it bit, you know?
I think one of the best songs of this year is Piece of My Heart, which I told you earlier. I just loved it from the minute I heard it because it's just a great radio song. It feels great. How do you kind of tap into what's good for radio and what isn't?
Honestly, sometimes I haven't got a clue. When I wrote Shoulda, Woulda, Coulda, I knew I'd written a good song, and that's all I knew. I had no idea it would be the big radio record that it was. And when I did Piece of My Heart, because obviously it's not my song, it's a cover version, I thought, well, it'd be nice, you know, it'd be quite a lot of people who'll know it. Again, I had no idea it would take off the way it did. I don't know what the magic formula is. I have no idea.
Is it still a shock when you switch on the radio and you're just listening to the normal wall of sound and the DJ's talking rubbish like I do, and then suddenly your song's there?
It is weird. I've learnt to stop analysing and over-analysing the recordings, which is what I used to do. Now I can afford to just let it kind of not pass over me. I wish I could in a way, but mostly I'll listen without critiquing all the time. And that took years for me to kind of chill out and just listen.
Have you got a lot of rituals before you go on stage? Are there things you have to do before you go out there?
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the most important things, which is a ritual because it's a necessity, is vocal warm-ups, which take a good, if you're doing it right, they take a good half an hour to really warm your vocal up. And then we've got like stupid things like everybody crashes into the one dressing room and they have a swig of something rather strong and I don't. Because I don't drink. Being a solo act, my band is my band and they're my mates and everything like that. The stories about Oasis, going on stage and having big old bust-ups before they step out. And I can't imagine how that would feel.
Let's talk about the people you've worked with and who you'd like to work with. Everybody seems to love collaborations these days. Who have you enjoyed working with? Who would you like to work with in the future?
I liked working with Ronnie Wood. That was on a stage. We haven't been in the studio together, but because he's, part of the legendary Rolling Stones, you're like, oh God, yeah. And then, so Mick Jagger bounded out halfway through the performance, which was like, yep, that'll do nicely. I will be going on stage with George Michael soon as well, which will be nice, doing a duet with him. Probably my absolute favourite was joining Shaka Khan on stage. Oh, it's absolutely unbelievable. And I'm waiting for Prince. I'm pretty sure he's been in the UK or is here at the moment, and I'm not with him. It's a shame.
So he's your dream, really? You'd love to work with him?
Oh, I'd love to work with Prince. I'm such a big Prince fan. I have been, and I bore everybody with Prince, so yeah, that would be my ideal.
What's that feeling like when people you admire know who you are and respect you? That's a bit odd, isn't it?
That's strange. That is strange. It happened with Prince. I was very honoured to meet him a few years back, and the fact that he had my album and was playing it in his dressing room and we were doing the same TV show was like, that is a crazy thing. And Shaka and people like that, you feel very humbled actually, because you're like, well, I used to grow up wishing that I could at least have a little bit of what you've got, and you're appreciating what I do. That really kind of makes you think, God, in my mind I'm still climbing, I'm still on my way up. I think to myself, you start out so small. I started out from absolutely nothing 12 odd years ago, and you build up to a point, and to come here, I know this area well. I have lots of friends, I've got family even here, and to know that I'm playing to definitely the biggest theatre, who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought it back then? It's a sobering thought.
If you were to go to the X Factor auditions today, do you think you'd get through?
I doubt it, but then I wouldn't go to the X Factor. I can't think of anything more horrific than putting myself through something like that. The whole thing is so kind of taken up with looks and, having an angle, some kind of, and the people that I grew up with and admired my whole life, some of them were, definitely not the most beautiful. Some of them was straight up plain. Janis Joplin was not a looker, but boy, could she sing. You know what I mean? That is what I gravitate towards. That's what I hold on to. But I don't know. God knows what they look for. I don't know what they look for.
Congratulations on everything. The new album is brilliant, and thank you so much for talking to me, Beverley Knight.
Thank you.